Hello and welcome to a Bible study with Paul Hart. Today's subject is Elijah and Elisha's miracles.
Elijah and Elisha's miracles, study 17. The healing of Naaman from leprosy. This study will look in detail, almost verse by verse, as many features and principles arise about the work of God. To learn about these and put them into practice will bring a great result to ourselves and bless many others. The life-threatening problem. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1.
Now Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy.
Yes, Naaman was a valiant soldier with reputation. High up in the army and had influence in government, but with a devastating, unsolvable sickness. Leprosy, a skin infection that slowly eats skin, muscles and eventually the limbs of the body. No matter who we are, problems and sicknesses can infect all. But we must not think those with reputation, rich and famous, are somehow immune because they are rich and famous. They need as much help as the lowly. Reputation and achievements mean nothing in the problems of life. The compassionate servant. Let's read verse 2 and 3.
Now bands from Aram had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy."
Yes, only a slave servant to Naaman's wife. But how compassionate she was. And you can hear it in her voice, "If only my master." Here is a desire to see the healing and recovery of her captor. What courage and compassion from this young girl in speaking up. What a lesson for us not to hide our light under a bushel, as Jesus said. Do you see people with big problems and have the courage to speak up? Do you believe that a faith answer is even possible for the ungodly? She did. The wrong solution. Let's read verses 4 to 7.
Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. "By all means go," the king of Aram replied. "I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, "With this letter I am sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy." As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, "Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me."
Yes, it was good that Naaman received what the young servant girl had said. But from his background and his status of influence, a completely wrong method was chosen. A letter of influence, much money in gold and silver coins, and much clothing, all sent the king of Israel into a panic. He certainly didn't have the faith required to expect or supply a healing for this foreign army general. The little slave girl was putting him to shame. Influence in the world system cannot and does not ever achieve God's amazing solutions. Let's be careful not to trust in who we are with this type of comment, either in our heart or in our mouth. Don't you know who I am? Have you heard anyone talk like that? Elisha's simple solution. Let's read from verse 8 to 10.
When Elisha the man of God heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message. Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed.
Elisha's question to the king was like, Why are you panicking? Send them to me, was his solution. We need to have a faith level in our God that we can actually solve the problems with God's help and instructions. If we don't live this life, then we can't pass it on with authority. Elisha was confident with experience, and past successes in God had established his confidence. How confident are you that God has the solution to your problem, success or distress? Confidence in God leads to action. Sending a message with God's instructions was certainly going to provoke a much-needed reaction in this prideful general, a humbling and exposure of his national pride and status in it. Note the unusual method, dipping 7 times in the Jordan River. Jesus had unusual methods also, saliva and mud on blind eyes being one of them. I wonder why in the church today we don't see many miracles occurring through unusual actions. Should we do so, do you think? Maybe God can't trust us with such instructions. Naaman's offence and angry response. Let's read from 2 Kings 5 and continue from verse 11 and 12.
But Naaman went away angry and said, I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hands over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than any of the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed? So he turned and went off in a rage.
This simple solution and method of delivery, just sending a message,